It's January 27th, 2023, and today I'm going to talk about the Jennifer Pan case, the murder for hire trial that happened in 2014 after the November 8th, 2010 murder of this woman, Jennifer Pan's parents. Jennifer Pan is a Vietnamese Canadian woman who was in her mid 20s at the time. And I watched a bunch of videos about this, and I realized, like, I always ask myself when someone's accused of something, I always ask myself, what if they're actually telling the truth? Or what if they're mostly telling the truth? Because you can watch the interrogation footage. The full footage is like 3.5 hours long, but there's abbreviated versions of it where the police officer is insisting to her, "We have information on you. Like we've done our research," which they didn't have much information. They were trying to trick her. And Dr. Todd Grande did a video about this, and I'm glad he said that the police shouldn't be able to lie in order to get people to confess. That's basically fraud. Fraud is wrong. Of course, they do it to catch criminals. In Illinois, it's illegal to lie to minors in order to get them to confess to crimes because Illinois, as I just found out, my home state, used to be known as the false confession capital of America. So here's why I think Jennifer Pan is not as guilty as she seems. Now, I'm going to say this, spoiler alert. I think Jennifer Pan is guilty of conspiring to commit murder, or at least attempting to conspire to commit murder. See, the thing is, her mother was murdered, her father was shot, and Jennifer Pan claims that she didn't put a hit out on her parents. She put a hit out on her dad and then tried to cancel it. And also, at a different time, she says she was depressed and suicidal because her parents were control freaks who were obsessed with her grades, and she developed the maladaptive behavior of compulsive lying in order to try to deal with their, you know, like she barely missed graduating high school because she failed a calculus test, so she lied and said she got admitted into a university, and then she had to reveal that information. But anyway, later on, it turns out that she and her father kind of reconciled, and there's articles about this, which I'll show you from a blog called thestar.com by author Alicia Hashem, uh, which says that she and her father reconciled, so she decided not to put a hit out on it. And, like, she was doing this through her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was named Daniel Wong, and there were three other people that he got to attempt to kill her parents. They succeeded on the mother's part. So here's the thing that sticks out about this. You want to say Jennifer Pan is guilty of murder. She at no point attempted to get anyone to kill her mother. She only considered having her father killed and having herself killed. At least that's what she claims. And I'm here to say, what if most of what she's saying is true? She's obviously not telling the complete truth because she was found to have been lying about some stuff. But like I said, she's a compulsive liar because you have to become a compulsive liar in order to be able to feel like a normal person and be accepted by friends and not be a fucking constantly studying workaholic like your parents want you to be so that you have no social life. Like this woman was 24 years old and she had a 9 p.m. curfew. She wasn't allowed to go anywhere except for her job, which was to teach piano lessons. So she was very, very slowly earning the money to apparently put a hit out against her dad, according to the police. And I admit she did attempt to have her father murdered at one point. But I'm going to explain to you why I think she attempted to call it off. And that's what she claimed. There's a video out there about this topic, the Jennifer Pan murder for hire case, that says Jennifer Pan killed her parents in order to be with her criminal boyfriend, Daniel Wong, who's the guy who found the murderers, and he connected Jennifer Pan to a guy named Homeboy, who organized the hit against her parents. So people claim that she killed her parents because they wouldn't let her be with her criminal boyfriend. That's partially true. Her boyfriend was a criminal and he was of mixed race, and that's why her parents disapproved of him. But she didn't kill her parents, first of all, because both her parents didn't die. Second, because it's possible that she didn't fully put out a hit on her parents and pay for it. And also, he wasn't her boyfriend at the time. The murder happened on November 8th, 2010, and there was their text from the trial showing that they broke up on November 2nd, 6 days before that. Daniel Wong cheated on Jennifer Pan with a girl named Christine, and there's texts saying that he feels about Christine the way that Jennifer feels about Daniel. So that's why they couldn't be together. And after that, Jennifer sent a bunch of texts uh, saying goodbye. That was November 2nd and 3rd, and made mention of letting her quote unquote rest in peace. But this text might have probably occurred at a time where she may have still wanted the hit to be put out on herself. See, like I said, I think she did get into university at one point, and that's why. Okay, so this is from article called Jennifer Pan Trial. Text message announced game time hours before shooting from August 20th, 2014, while the trial was happening, from thestar.com by Alicia Hashem. In the fall, her relationship with her father and her family improved after she was accepted into Centennial College after years of faking attendance at Ryerson and the University of Toronto. My dad was quite ecstatic, she said. There was a glimmer of hope we could reconnect. And according to this blogger, Alicia Hashem, Pan testified that she no longer wanted to die at that point, and she wanted to call the plan off. That's why I think she's telling the truth about not intending to kill her parents. At least she didn't intend to kill her father the whole time. She, at that point, did not want to kill her father anymore, if what she says is true. The article continues. On October 31st, it's Halloween in 2010, 9 days before the murder, she got a message from Wong telling her to call Homeboy, she said. When she did, he said he was in the area and they were going to, quote, do it tonight. In panic phone calls around 9 p.m., October 31st, Jennifer Pan told Homeboy that she didn't have the money. We don't know what this money's for at this point. I guess it was to kill her or her dad. And she said it was not a good time because there were kids around trick-or-treating, she said. Pan said that 2 days later, that would be November 1st, Wong, Daniel Wong, her about-to-be ex-boyfriend, they broke up, I guess, the next day for sure, Wong helped her negotiate a cancellation fee of $8,500 with Homeboy in order to cancel the hit that Jennifer Pan put out on either her father or herself, which is all that we can say for sure. That same day, November 2nd, which is 6 days before the murder, Wong texted Pan about his new girlfriend. I feel the way you feel about me, but about her. I'm sorry. So Wong is saying to Pan that he's not interested in her. After several frantic texts asking for clarification, Pan replied, so you feel for her what I feel for you, then call it off with Homeboy. So you feel for her what I feel for you, then call it off for Homeboy. I guess she meant so if you feel for her. So she says call it off with Homeboy. That's either referring to the hit on her dad or herself, which, by the way, women are known to commit suicide in less uh, gross and horrifying ways than men, like by overdosing on pills and stuff. Women are more squeamish than men in general. Not, I know you ladies give birth and menstruate, but in general, suicide, men tend to shoot themselves more often than women. So when Jennifer Pan and the people defending her say that she was suicidal and depressed, I believe her because she had a family of control freaks who wouldn't let her date who she wanted, and she had a curfew at the age of 24. And so I believe that she was depressed, and I believe that when she says that she didn't have the guts to commit suicide herself, and that's why she thought about taking a hit out on herself, I believe that that is possible. I believe that what she's saying is likely true. I would be depressed if my parents controlled me, which they did, and I have been depressed, and I have thought about killing myself. This girl and then woman was terrorized, and she had to lie and say she was in university in order to get her parents to remotely treat her well. I understand why they wouldn't want her to date a criminal boyfriend, but the point is, she did attempt to cancel the hit against her father, and there were some miscommunications. Her father ended up getting shot and her mother murdered. So here's how the text continues after Jennifer Pan says, call it off with Homeboy. Then Daniel Wong says, what do you mean? As in, what do you mean call it off? I thought you wanted this for you. I guess he means I thought you wanted the hit to be for you. He doesn't understand why she would call off the hit for herself. And she says, I do, but I have nowhere to go. Meaning, I do want this for me. I do want the hit to be for me. I do want them to kill me so I don't have to commit suicide, but I have nowhere to go because she couldn't afford to move out of her parents' house because she was just teaching piano lessons and she was a C student, didn't really have a lot of opportunities. So Wong says, "You said you wanted this with or without me." And then she says, "I want this for me," which I guess means that she wanted, at that point, November 2nd, which is as they're breaking up, keep in mind, she is saying that she wants the hit to be for her. That was 6 days before the murder. So the article continues, Pan denied that she wanted to revive a romantic relationship with Wong, despite several texts asking Wong if he still loved her and that she was heartbroken. And she maintained that they were simply close friends. She was trying to be supportive of his new relationship, but she would often make him feel guilty of the habit. So the next day, November 3rd, the court heard Homeboy texted Pan, asking her to set a time of completion. And Jennifer Pan says that this refers to a time that she needs to pay them the full cancellation fee. Pay the full cancellation fee for the hit that she put out to her father or herself, we don't know. So she tries to cancel a hit for whoever, and the hitman wants his money back. And Daniel Wong is able to negotiate a cancellation fee of $8,500, which is less than the $10,000 that she was going to pay to have either herself or her father killed. So it says the Crown alleges this refers to a time that, yeah, the police didn't want to be made to look stupid after the interrogator basically yelled in Jennifer Pan's face and said, "Tell me that the hit was for your parents. It was for your parents." And she says 9 different times, "It was for me." And every time he asks her, "I know it's your parents. Say it's your parents. I need a confession." She just says either, "It was for me," or she remains silent and puts her head down and cries. So you should check out these blogs, jenniferpantrial.wordpress.com, August 23rd, 2014. During the trial, there's an article called Pan on the Stand, Phone Records According to J. Pan. See, there was a woman who made a YouTube video about this trial, who said, "Oh, there's proof that they planned the murder. There's text messages." And I'm not going to show them to you. Let's move on. So I went looking for those texts that prove that she tried to put a hit out on her dad or parents, and I didn't find them. Like, I'm an honest guy. If I found those, I would show them to you, and I would have them right next to the texts that show the opposite and say, "Look at these." That doesn't make sense. But I only found texts that say, "I want it for me." This article includes that text, and here's duplication of that text. Text message: "I feel the way you feel, but about her, I'm sorry. Jennifer, what do you mean? Can you please clarify for me? Because I think I'm misunderstanding." And then several messages are omitted. And then Jennifer says, "So you feel for her what I feel for you." Then call it off with Homeboy. Daniel, what do you mean? I thought you said you wanted this for you. Jennifer, I do, but I have nowhere to go. Daniel, call it off with Homeboy? You said you wanted this with or without me. Jennifer, but if you want her, how are you going to protect me from them? I want it for me. So them apparently refers to, we don't know. What the articles I've read say that Jennifer lied to Daniel about being raped in her house by several Asian men. And that fact doesn't really, I mean, we don't know if it's a fact. The fact of whether it's a fact or not doesn't really come up. It just says, "Oh, she's a compulsive liar." I mean, she's a compulsive liar because she has maladaptive behavior because of her control freak parents. So she might not be lying about everything. It says, "How are you going to protect me from them?" Jennifer's asking Daniel, "How are you going to protect me from them?" It's either referring to the men who raped her in her house, as she claims, or it's referring to the people who are trying to get money from her. Pan on the Stand is the article. When contact resumed on October 28th, Pan testified that Homeboy was looking for money, and told her he could execute the plan, father, Jennifer, whenever she wanted it. She stated she was trying to call off the plan, telling him she no longer wanted it. Again, any reference to it is unclear. Hit out on who? We don't know. So obviously Jennifer's father is who, made this case famous because he survived being shot, and his testimony that his daughter was walking around with the hitman before they shot him to, into a coma. Um, that's what changed the outcome of this case and made people think that Jennifer was lying, or lying about more things than she is. I believe that she's lying about less things than people think she is. Like I said, I think she did attempt to put out a hit on her father at one point, but I do believe, and I think the evidence here shows that she did attempt to cancel that hit. And apparently there was some confusion, or just these guys wanted some money. She put a hit out and then tried to take it back. So they were charging her a cancellation fee of $8,500, and she said that she was unable to pay on October 31st. So 10 days later, they came in, and I believe she told the interrogator that they asked for money, and that at that point she gave them money. Um, I believe that she gave them all that she had, which was $2,500. She had $1,400 of her own money and stole $1,100 from her mother in order to pay those guys something. That's what I think happened. And didn't just make those numbers up. I'm citing actual facts. I don't have them in the articles in front of me, but that's what was in one of the videos I watched. So I believe that these guys wanted to be paid for something, and since she apparently didn't want anyone to be killed, they showed up at her house to get money, get whatever money that there was. And since there was a $6,000 difference between the 2,500 she paid them and the 8,500 that she owed them, I think they murdered her mother and shot her father to make up for that $6,000 difference because they wanted some money for doing something, and maybe it wasn't going to be exactly what she asked for. Why would she deserve that, in the hitman's mind, if she tried to cancel the plan, or if she didn't have enough money? If she didn't have enough money, she wouldn't deserve for them to kill the person that she intended. That's why they didn't kill her or her father. I mean, they obviously tried to kill her father, but my point is, I think the reason they left her alive is because she's the one who put out the hit on whoever that is. Maybe they didn't even know who the hit was supposed to be for anymore, and they just wanted some money, and they wanted to kill someone and get some money because that's what they were paid for. And she didn't cancel in time. And murder is what happens when you don't cancel a murder for hire contract on time. I believe that she did try to get herself killed by these guys and try to get her father killed by these guys. Is just she wasn't able to come up with the money that these guys wanted in time. And I think it's really interesting for the police to say what they've said, that Jennifer is guilty of putting the hit out and treating her as if she's more guilty than the people who were hired by her boyfriend. By the way, huge amount of commonalities between this case and the Tanya Harding case. Maybe a boyfriend gets asked to put some guys together to put a hit out on someone, and it goes too far. The commonalities don't stop there. Jennifer Pan and Tanya Harding were both failed figure skaters. Jennifer Pan had to give up her figure skating dream as a child after being injured. It's almost like the Jennifer Pan case fits a pre-planned, almost like a pan, like a bread mold, like a Jennifer Pan mold, like a pre-panned, a pre-Jennifer Pan, if you will, narrative of disgraced, failed figure skater commits murder for hire. I mean, Jennifer Pan tried, but she couldn't pay her cancellation fee on time, so they killed her mom and shot her dad. I think Tanya Harding is less guilty than Jennifer Pan. So what I was getting to is for the police to punish her more than the guys who were hired to kill her, whoever. It's almost like they're allowing the hit contract to stand because the cops, I mean, they punished the guys after, but they very well did allow I mean, it wasn't under their control. They could have stopped the murder if they wanted to, but we all know the cops don't come when you call them. It's from a rap song. It's got to be true. So the cops allowed that hit contract to stand by saying that Jennifer's more guilty than them. The hitman insisted that someone be murdered in order to make up for that $6,000, the $6,000 deficit that Jennifer owed them from the cancellation fee. So it's almost like the police are upholding the hitman's contract and like, well, someone's got to be killed. I mean, we got to punish people for murdering people, but that comes afterwards. To try to cancel a murder for hire and not pay the hitman, that's the real crime here. Like, that's what the Crown is saying. The British occupied Canadian territories that prosecuted this woman and yelled at her, and of course, could not ever be criticized, let alone found to be completely lying in the face of a murder suspect in order to get her to confess to something she didn't exactly do. Watch the interrogation video, JCS Criminal Psychology. She says 9 times, "It was for me." She texted her boyfriend 6 days before the murder, "I want it for me," referring to the murder. She wanted to commit suicide, but she's a woman, most of whom aren't courageous enough to commit gruesome forms of suicide. And I guess since she couldn't think of a non gruesome form of suicide that she could handle, she had someone else kill her. And she put it in the hands of her boyfriend to decide that some guy named Homeboy and his friends were going to kill her. And yeah, like I said, I'll say it again. She did attempt to have her father killed, and she did engage in murder for hire. But that guy didn't die. Not that that makes it okay. Just saying, there are probably some additional charges that she's serving for that she didn't actually commit. Now, she should probably still be in prison for the charges that she was actually guilty for. But I don't have the information in front of me of what exactly she was convicted of. But I'd say conspiring to murder someone, uh, murder for hire, she should stay in prison for that. But I would be shocked if there weren't some things that she was convicted for that she didn't actually do. So I urge everyone to revisit the Jennifer Pan case. It's possible she told the truth about putting a hit out on herself. Daniel had cheated on her. They weren't strictly boyfriend and girlfriend for the duration of the story. 2. Jen wanted to kill herself after Daniel cheated on her. 3. That's why she put a hit out on herself. 4. She did try to put a hit out on her dad, and we know that because she confessed to it. However, she tried to cancel that hit after she and her dad reconciled a bit, after she got into college, after lying that she was in college already. 5. The hitman tried to charge Jen a cancellation fee of $8,500. 6. Jen was unable to pay that cancellation fee on time. Homeboy was hounding her for money between October 28th and October 31st, even insisting that someone get killed on the night of October 31st. I believe they were still talking about her. I suspect that. Canadian prosecutors obviously don't. Number 7. The murderers killed Jen's mom and shot her dad as revenge against Jen for not paying the cancellation fee. They also got away with framing her for murders that she didn't commit, basically. So that's a pretty big revenge they got on her. It looks like she looks more guilty than the people who actually killed her mom do. Think about that. The murderers killed Jen's mom and shot her dad as revenge against Jen for not paying the cancellation fee. She owed them $8,500. She was only able to give $1,400 of her own money and steal $1,100 of her mom's, pay them that $2,500. 8. That's why Jen said, "It doesn't make sense to me," in interrogation. Police officer was saying, "That doesn't make sense." The officer was saying, "It doesn't make sense for these guys to try to kill your parents if the hit was supposed to be for you, as you, Jennifer Pan, claim." And she said, "It doesn't make sense to me." She's like, "I'm trying to understand what happened." She texted Daniel, "I want it for me," referring to the murder. So she doesn't understand why her dad got shot when she thought that 10 days prior she was talking to Homeboy over text message about killing her because she was suicidal. But she was no longer suicidal. And she went through this period of November 2nd to 3rd where she texted Daniel along a lot and made peace, apparently, with the fact that they were breaking up and that he liked this girl, Christine, more than her. So that's she apparently reached some sort of catharsis where she no longer wanted to kill herself or her dad on November 3rd. That's what I think after reading these articles. Number 9, no texts have been produced which actually show Jen and Daniel discussing the murder of her parents. Just her. No specifics. I went looking for those texts and I found "I want it for me." I didn't see any mom, dad. I didn't see their names. and I don't want to say one of their names because it's a curse word. One of her parents is named Bitch. That's kind of silly. So anyway, this chick is not anywhere near as close to a, oh, she murdered her parents. Or it's not even a girl gets revenge on Tiger Mom parents, and it's not that. It's also not she wanted to be with her criminal boyfriend and their parents wouldn't let her. They broke up 5 days before the murder. 6 days. So there's a lot of just false narratives about this story going out. And this reporting that happened during the trial by Alicia Hashem and Jennifer Pantrial.wordpress.com, whatever that author is, this is really excellent. And to be honest, most videos about Jennifer Pan do at least admit that she was abused by her parents, basically. Not physically, sexually, but tormented, deprived of love unless she got good grades. And she didn't get good grades. So she developed a lying complex just so she could have a life of her own between the ages of 18 and 24. But being abused by her parents is not the only thing that makes her look innocent. The facts of the case themselves make her look innocent. The fact that she attempted to call off the hit, just couldn't afford it against her father and or herself or whoever. That doesn't even matter at this point. It's she attempted to call off the hit. We know she had stopped being suicidal because she had made peace with her boyfriend on November 3rd. We knew she had made up with her father because she got into college after lying and saying that she was in a different college. So she no longer wanted to kill herself or her dad. And suddenly she's got murderers showing up at her door demanding 8,500. She's like, what's she gonna do? So she was found guilty in December 2014, and she and 3 other people were sentenced to life in prison. And there's this other article from jenniferpantrial.wordpress.com from May 20th, 2015, talking about how the jury had communications with one of the jurors' wives, and apparently she was really pro-police. So everything about this case is really suspicious. You think it's going to go one way, and then it goes another, and then it goes another. Jennifer Pan probably needs to be exonerated for some of the charges, not all the charges, but some of the charges that she was alleged to have committed. Because I believe that her boyfriend's friends, homeboy and his friends, whose names were Milvaganam, Wong, and Crawford, I think this got out of hand, and they killed the person that they knew had nothing to do with this, her mother, and they shot her father, which probably suggests either they knew that she had previously wanted to kill her father and they kept her alive to torture her because they knew that she would be found guilty of murder along with them. I don't know why a guy would go forward with a murder knowing that was just going to happen, but I guess he just really needed the money and was really pissed off when he got to what a minute later turned out to be the murder scene and was $6,000 short. Not trying to defend Hitman, just telling you how they think. So it turns out I was wrong, and so I am shocked. She was not convicted on any charges she was not guilty of. She was found guilty of first-degree murder, which includes indirectly causing someone to die, and attempted murder, which she very clearly did commit, although she attempted also to call off that murder, and conspiracy to commit murder, which she definitely engaged in, although she attempted to end that conspiracy. She just couldn't pay her hitman off to leave her alone. So, while I was wrong when I said that there may be some charges she was convicted for that she shouldn't be in prison for, she did attempt to avoid committing those crimes. She just couldn't get these 4 psychotic men under control. Because when psychotic men think a woman wants someone killed, they are going to kill someone. And they're probably going to take whatever money and valuables are in the area. So it turns out I left out the most ridiculous and hilarious things for the end because I forgot about them. One, I mentioned how the jury was in communication with one of the jurors' wives who was pro-cop. There's another thing that happened with the jury. They had to call each juror in to the witness box and ask them one by one what information they received. And the other thing is the Wikipedia article on Jennifer Pan doesn't even mention the first name of this guy, Eric Carty, who I didn't mention earlier, who was involved. And police believe he was the one who brought in players, including David Milvaganam, who was convicted of first degree. This is according to YorkRegion.com. So this guy, Eric Carty, is not often mentioned, even though he had previously murdered someone. He died in jail 7 months after he lost his murder conviction appeal of former friend Kirk Matthews. So I suspected that they were going to. I suspected that they were. So I said earlier that it seems. So earlier I said it seems like Jennifer Pan is being treated worse than the people who actually killed her mom and shot her dad. And I was right, it turns out, because everyone except Eric Carty, who's a previous murderer, got 25 years. Is 25 years to life and chance for parole after 25 years. Carty was the only person who was given less than that, and he had previously committed murder, and he lost his chance for uh, appeal. So they not only treated Jennifer Pan worse than Eric Carty, the guy who actually found the people who committed the murder. They treated Eric Carty better, 7 years better. They gave him 7 years less of a sentence than the other people. I don't know why that is. He had previously committed murder. You'd think he would be prosecuted more harshly than Jennifer Pan, who is, a first-time offender, if even that. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. The police were clearly overzealous in this case, and the police didn't want to be made fools of, and they wanted to insist whatever they want to the murder accusee's face. And they don't want to be embarrassed by things like the truth or suspects who are telling the truth some of the time and lying the rest of the time. Things aren't always black and white, but I think I've shown Jennifer Pan is slightly more innocent in some ways than we previously thought, and maybe even slightly more guilty in other ways than we previously thought. But it's very clear she attempted to have this murder and shooting not happen at all. She tried. She tried to avoid it and take it back. And this article from York Region says it very well. Jennifer Pan was tied up and still maintains her innocence in the case, although she admitted to an earlier plot to kill her father. She attempted to cancel that plot. Doesn't matter in the long run, though, as they were able to convict her of indirectly causing murder and conspiracy to commit murder.